Hello everyone, welcome back to Motivation with me. I'm Natasha Pereira, and today we'll be doing motivation and work. Now before I begin, yesterday we did about motivation and school. So we saw how the school environment promotes motivation in your child and how your child begins to develop motivation from a very young age. So the first stage he'll develop is creative motivation, thus it will gradually increase in your child, and thus will also cause your child to have a high competitive level or high competence motivation and learning motivation. So today we are going to talk about motivation and work. Now, what is this work? Obviously, I'm referring to when you're having a job. You're working in a company or it's your own business. And of course, yes, it can be very, very stressful. It requires a lot of attention, it requires a lot of your time, and there are even deadlines you have to even do without even considering of your own options. So, of course, it is very, very hard, difficult, and even challenging, especially with time. It's very challenging on a basis of time, don't you think? I too have that experience, because I know how working constantly, it does take a toll on you. It's very time consuming. You barely even have time to look after yourself or your family. I know it's hard. So that's why we are going to learn how to motivate ourselves at work. Thereby we can motivate ourselves to lead our daily lives. Now, when you talk about work, let's talk about when you're working in a company. Now you're working under someone. You have a boss, and of course you have other colleagues, other employees. So there are times when you will be assigned to assignments or tasks where you'll have to do it either individually or you'll have to do it as a group with your fellow colleagues or employees. Now when it comes to this case scenario, there are two ways you can promote motivation in yourself first. One way is called intrinsic motivation or internal motivation. Now, internal motivation is how you recommend yourself to get motivated through your own ideals. You can motivate yourself by thinking, I am doing this job for this particular reason. I have a reason to do this job. I'm going to do it for that particular reason or particular someone. I'm doing this job for him, I'm doing this job for her, or I'm doing this job for myself. So that's a type of intrinsic motivation. You are motivating yourself to work more efficiently and effectively on the basis that you have a motivating trigger. So that motivating trigger, which is intrinsic motivation, is an internal trigger. Now, the second type is extrinsic or external motivation. Now this is when you are doing your job or your task on an external basis. You are motivated by the external environment to do a better job. For example, you get inspired seeing someone working so effectively or getting a bonus. You get so inspired seeing that person being very accomplished or being very competitive or being very successful, and you will think, oh, I would like to be like that. That's a good life. I would like to experience that. So that's intrinsic motivation. So extrinsic motivation motivates you to do your job effectively and efficiently, but the trigger is not internally but externally, which means outside. Your environment motivates you to be more effective in your working environment or your working field or your working area. Now, that is in a company. What about now in your own business? Now, if you have your own business, that is a bit of a different side approach. Of course, that will be more time consuming than being, employed under someone else. Having a business requires a lot of your attention, a lot of your talents, and it even requires a lot of your time. There are days or even months where you won't be able to get enough sleep You'll have to be more focused on the business, especially when you're starting it. If it's a growing business, if it's still a developing business, then it requires a lot of patience. However, if it's a business which is very successful or is handed down from generation to generation, then it could be manageable. It is time manageable. But if it's a business that is just being started or is developing, it does take a toll on you. So now, when you have a business of your own, of course, at first you won't have many employees. You'll have to work it out on your own. And when that happens, you have to keep motivating yourself. You must think about, why did you start this business? What made you start the business? What inspired you to start this business? Now, this can be either intrinsic, that is internal, or extrinsic, that is from the environment. So, whatever the factors that inspired you to start your business or motivated you to begin it in the first place, you must recall those factors during the hardest times you have your business, and easily you will motivate yourself and get yourself out of the little pinch you are in during that small period. The tough time you have while you're doing your business when it's developing, those are not forever. Remember, nothing is forever. Not even your good days or your bad days, they are never forever. But you can always get out of them if you keep motivating yourself. You should understand why. Why am I doing it? Am I doing it for myself? Am I doing it for someone I love? Am I doing it for my family? So those kind of questions, you must always keep thinking about it. Why? Always have the question why at the back of your mind. It'll keep you stable. It really does. It does help. I'm telling it from experience. Whenever I would do my jobs, I would wonder all the time why. Why am I doing it? Because there were instances where I felt it was really not a pain, but it was too much for me. I found it very taxing. It was taxing to my health. It was taxing to my personal life. And it was taxing to my education side. But at the end of the day, I would always think why I chose this job, or why did I volunteer to do this job. When I knew my reasons, those reasons were the ones that motivated me to continue doing my good work. That's why I'm able to share it with you today. Always have the question why at the back of your head. It does help you because it helps you reflect. It helps you remember the real cause, the real reason why you made this huge step, this huge commitment in life. So, now let us talk again back when you're working in a company. Now, if you're the boss of the company, of course, you have many employees, don't you? Now, you want to make sure that your company does not receive a loss, either financially or through any other matter. You want to always make sure your company is at a stable rate, but once in a way there'll be a profit. But you do not wish for it to go down gradually. So now, how are you going to make sure that your company always stays above the red line? So one way is through employee motivation. Now, employee motivation is something you should, as bosses or as the leaders of the company, you should promote to your employees. Always motivate your employees to do their good work. Because if you don't do them, if you don't promote them or even motivate them, they won't find a reason or a cause to why they even figured of choosing the job in the first place, or why they even chose your company in the first place. Now, when it comes to your employees, you must remember that they are part of the family of your company. So to always take care of them and always remember these 4 main factors. These 4 main factors that I'm about to tell you promote a decrease in motivation. When they have a decrease in motivation, your company or your business is affected. So let us see what these 4 are. Lack of self-efficacy, or they lack their importance. They wonder, why me? I don't see my worth. I think it's worthless here. I think I am worthless working here. I'm not worthy of it. So those kinds of thoughts go about in their heads. And you should remember to always keep encouraging your employees by showing them, pointing out their strengths, and also empowering them. Tell them what they're good at, more than shunning them, more than telling that they're good for nothing, more than pointing out their weaknesses. Point out their strengths. When they see that you as their bosses, as their leaders, identify a special characteristic or a special ability they have, they will not fear of working with you. They will have motivation to work. Okay, my boss sees this in me. I will show him I can do more. So that enthusiastic them. It makes them very happy. It makes them want to work more for you and more for the company. The other factor is mismatch of values. So there will be times where your employee will be comparing himself or herself with other employees. They'll be comparing with someone who is better than them. And they will wonder, oh, he's better. I'm no match for him. He should be here more than me. I have no position in this world. So when they see the values, they are understanding that the other employee has much more value, much more potential, much more ability than himself. So when your employee does that, it will just reduce their self-esteem. Will make them think, why? Like, why am I even born? Why am I even working here in the first place? That kind of question will go through their head. So that is when you as leaders must always encourage your staff. Don't allow another person to judge themselves by comparing with another person. Never judge by comparison. Keep that as a quote or a motive for your employees, or tell it to them every day. Do not judge on a basis of comparison. So then your employee will understand that they are worth something. They have something that no one else has. And that's what brings out a unique act or a unique ability or a unique potential in them, and thus favors your company. Now the other two is disruptive emotions. Now disruptive emotion is when your employee will come in one day looking very gloomy or very sad. So that means your employees had a rough day either at home or with a loved one or with a family member. Now when that happens, and you see your employee looking very, very unhappy or not content to even work, just go over and just put a nudge and ask what was the problem. What's the problem? Can I help you? Just be free, talk to him freely. He's just a person after all. He is not someone higher or lower than you. We are all the same. We have our bad days, we have our good days. We should remember to be there for those who have bad days. Because do not think of doing this act just because it will benefit your company. Think about doing it because at the end of point in time, there'll come a point where the man you help will come back and help you. Nothing ever goes unrewarded. There's always a reward for every good deed and every good act. But those acts and deeds must be done selflessly. Not when you're selfish. It must be done selflessly. You're doing it out of a selfless act and not of a selfish act. Never be selfish. Of course, once in a way you can when it comes to competition and all that. But when it comes to emotional things, emotional problems, never be selfish. Be selfless. Because who knows, one day maybe when you are feeling the same way, that employee will come back and help you. He'll encourage you. He'll motivate you. Why? Because you did it for him. Now that employee has nothing to give you. All he can give you is his hard work, his determination, his dedication to the company. But coming and supporting you even during your hard time is something you can't even obtain from the best work or the best data analysis or best data statistical analysis you get for your company. Having someone to share your thoughts and your words and your feelings, that's the greatest thing. So, the final factor is attribution error. Now that is when your employee will mistakenly think that the company that they are working for is not a big deal. Like, there is nothing much to expect from the company. It's only just temporary. They're not going to work for a long time. They're going to have that kind of mentality. Now, when they have that kind of mentality, it is your duty as leaders to always not only promote your business to the world, but to promote it to your employees. Then your employees know, okay, if we work hard now, our rewards will be better, not only for us, but for the company. And if the company does well, we get notified or we get a reward. Have that kind of attitude. Show them that, okay, maybe for now, it's going slow. It's a slow process. It's a developing process. It's not going high. But even so, you should always remind your employees that even though the company or whatever the business is slow, they have to give in their full effort. Because when the full effort is given, when the full potential is provided, when the full ability is exposed, it's very, very beneficial not only for the company, but for the employee as well. Because they start to realize that they have more talent, more skills inside them. Something which was hidden, something which they didn't know. So they'll be able to expose their uniqueness, their genuinity. So you must always remember to motivate your employees, whether your company is high, or whether it's low, or whether it's a developing progress. Now, if you have any trouble in trying to motivate your employees, even if it's just through mere speeches, there are some ways you can always do it. And these are small baby steps. So one way you could do is you can have a goal. Always show your employees your goals. Don't make them huge goals like you're reaching for the moon. No. Make them baby steps. Baby steps. Because anyhow, when you start even your life, you start as a baby. You don't start to walk immediately when you're born. You're just still small and you're like a crying little flower. So that is how you should even perform it in your business. So remember to have a goal, but keep it a small goal. A goal which is being able to be reachable. Don't make it like a goal where you have to go for a full extent. It will never work. Go baby steps. Go slow. After all, the slowest always wins. Be slow. Don't rush. Of course, you will seem far behind than other people or behind your rival. But be patient. Patience is very rewarding. I'm talking from experience. Patience has been rewarding to me. Another way you can motivate your employees or even yourself as leaders is to remind yourselves of your self-worth. Remind you of what you're worth, of your ability, your potential, your hardships, the way you came up. Remind yourself all of that. Whether it is pain you had to endure, whether it's happiness you had to endure, remember all those feelings and understand why you chose this job. Understand your self-worth. What is your ability? What can you give for your world? What can you give for your time at the company? What can you dedicate to the people you love from the hard work you do? So those are ways you can improve motivation. Another way is also to stay positive. Now, of course, I know bad days are always around the corner. Like I said, nothing is ever permanent. Good days and bad days are always temporary. But if you want to get over or get through even the good days and the bad days, you must always remember to stay positive. Staying positive gives a positive energy, a positive vibe. And when you have that vibe, it tends to project out of your body and also immediately goes around. It fluctuates around in the air to the other employees. That when they see you, they will feel happy and positive minded as well. So when you show a positive attitude, your fellow employees, even your leader or your boss, will also be positive towards you. So being positive actually goes a long way than being negative. Because if you're negative, that same aura, that same vibe will also be projected to your employees. And your day won't be as good. So always remember to stay positive. Now, the other thing you should also remember is to be a good team player. Now, when you're working in a company, as I said before, you have your other colleagues there. So when you're working with your colleagues, always remember to be a good team player. Listen to everyone else's ideas, their opinions. Do not degrade anything. Even if you're a leader, do not degrade it. Listen to it. Be open to it. Have an open mind. Understand what that idea is in their perspective, in their version, in their idea. Understand why they subjected or why they promoted that idea to you. Maybe it is beneficial, maybe it's not beneficial, but always remember to be open-minded. If it's not beneficial or if it's made of no sense, you can slowly, quietly, respectfully and humbly discard it, not embarrassing your employee. Because if you embarrass your employee, they will get a bad vibe, a bad reputation. Like, oh, he embarrassed me in front of everyone. I feel unable to do my work. I feel very uncomfortable. So you're giving that kind of vibe to your employee. So remember to always be very supportive to their opinions and be a good team player. Because if you also try to move forward and take the reins by yourself, people will just see you as your bossy person, or like you like to do things on your own. And that's not a really good attitude to show. Because like I mentioned before, you have to have a good attitude if you want to have a good reward at the end. Because your attitude counts on everything. Motivation is dependent on your attitude. Whether it's the attitude you put to yourself or the attitude you put out towards others. Always remember to have a good attitude. Whether even you have a bad day or a good day. Or if someone was mad at you, remember to always have a good attitude. Never shun another person. Never degrade another person, especially in a working environment, because that's an environment, an area where you show your true ability to a higher person, to someone who has trusted you with this certain specific role, someone who has given you a certain task to perform. So you always must be humble and have a good attitude. And having a good attitude promotes that motivation you have. Because when you are motivated, you feel like, okay, my boss is counting on me. My fellow employees are counting on me. I will do it for them. I'll do it and we'll all be winners at the end. It's all in the end a win-win. There is no one winner when it comes to a company. Everyone is a winner. And when that happens, you must always remember to have fun and celebrate. Promote celebration. Promote celebration because it increases self-esteem. It gives a boost. Okay, we did this year, let us do even better next year. So that kind of boost, that kind of morality, that kind of motive is there in your employees or even in you as a leader. So always remember that having a good attitude, whether it's towards your employees or towards yourself, it always motivates you. And always remember to motivate your fellow employees. So, today, that will be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed. So tomorrow will be a reflective story, and I hope you all enjoyed today. So please don't forget to like and subscribe my videos. So take care, see you soon.